After every mass shooting, the debate over gun control starts again. Texas has some of the most lenient gun laws in the country, but they're about to get even easier. Janelle Bluta explains.
At a time when many are fighting for stricter gun laws on September 1st, just a few weeks away, the Texas legislature will do the opposite. 10 new bills will take effect, all of them loosening Texas gun laws. Here's a breakdown of what they will do. House Bill 121 covers and defends a license to carry holder if they unknowingly entered an establishment that prohibits guns if the holder leaves the establishment when asked. HB 302 prohibits landlords from restricting tenants and their guests from having firearms. HB 1143 now prevents school districts from regulating how a licensed holder's firearm is stored in their vehicle in a school parking lot. 1177 is all about declared natural disasters. This bill prevents citizens from being charged with a crime if they are found with a firearm while evacuating and they don't have a license. This came in response to complaints that Harvey victims couldn't take their guns during mandatory evacuations. 1387 will take away the limit on the number of armed marshals a school district can have. 2363 is in reference to how foster parents may store firearms in their home. Senate Bill 535 removes these words, church, synagogue, or other established place of religious worship, from the list of prohibited locations to carry a firearm, but places of worship can still ban guns. And lastly, SB 741 prohibits homeowners associations from restricting the possession, transportation, or storage of firearms. It also prevents the HOA from regulating lawful firing of the weapons. Once again, these bills go into law September 1st.